Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsey. Today, I'm excited to be sharing with you my second alternative projects using the March 2022 paper pumpkin kit called Beyond the Horizon. This beautiful kit created 9 cards. You're going to get enough supplies in the kit to make 3 of these 3 different designs. And if you're interested in seeing me unbox this kit, or watching me create any of my other alternative projects, you can click on the playlist and I'll link it up here in the top right corner. If you are new to my channel and want to see more of my videos, click on the subscribe button and then the bell for notifications. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and help you with any of your paper crafting needs. To purchase any of the products you see me use today, please visit my online store and the link is in the description below. And if you're interested in signing up to get your own paper pumpkin kit, you can find that subscription link below in the description as well. So today's cards focus on using the sheet of die cuts that came in the kit. So we're going to be using these along with just a couple other pieces of cardstock to create today's cards. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first step for 2 of our cards is to create a background image for our die cuts to sit on top of. And so we're going to do that first. This particular card uses the negative space from the die cut, and we're going to do some blending to create that solid leaf shape in the background. And then we're doing a similar technique here for the mountain range. We've got the pale papaya and then the calypso coral solid mountain range, and we're doing that same blending technique. So we're going to start with that today. So I'm going to begin with a piece of basic white cardstock that is 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and put my die cuts off to the side. I do already have one that I have removed all the die cuts from, and I'm going to flip it over and use the back side for my blending. Because the area that I'm going to be blending is so small and I've got some other openings around it, I'm going to use Post-it notes to cover up those other areas so that I don't accidentally blend color into those areas. So these will also hold the template in place. So I'm going to go all the way around and cover up any areas that I don't want to get ink on. So for this one, I am using Misty Moonlight, and I do have the larger ink pad. But the Misty Moonlight Stampin' Spot came in your kit, and you can do the same technique with Stampin' Spots. They're just a little bit smaller, and then you can use either a blending brush or sponge daubers for this. So get a little bit of ink on your blending brush and then blend that over the opening. You just want to use light pressure so that you don't accidentally move or tear any of these little flaps. Just put down a little bit of color. I'm also using some small circular strokes, and if I want darker, I go back and get a little more ink on my blending brush. So then I can remove my stencil, and you're going to get something that looks like this. It's just really beautiful image, and then we're going to layer over the yellow die cut from the kit. So we'll come back to that card in a minute. Let's go ahead and do the blending for our mountain card, which is very similar to what we just did. For this piece, I used just a little bit smaller than my first. I've got a piece that is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches. And I'm going to do the exact same technique. I'm going to keep it flipped over, and the reason for that is because here you'll see that the die cut is opposite of the blend, so you're not going to be covering up your blend at all. And so I kind of like that idea with the mountain range as well. So for this one, I'm going to use my grid paper and just tack that down with a Post-it note so that it doesn't move. And then I'm going to line up my mountain range about 1 3/4 inches from the bottom. So that would be 7 of these little 1/4 inch squares. And I can kind of see it in the corner of that mountain range there. So then I'll take my Post-it notes again and cover up the area around it so that I don't accidentally blend any color in other places. So for my larger mountain range, I'm going to use Pale Papaya. If you don't have this color, you can use another light ink color that you maybe have. I like this one because it coordinates with the colors of the kit, and it's light enough that my darker colors will show up because I'm going to be doing the smaller mountain range over it. So I didn't want to use the darker color for the larger mountain range and then the lighter color for the small one. And you'll see why in just a minute. So I'm really focusing my color at the top of this mountain range. And then you can come down and add some color along that bottom edge as well. But we really want a lot of the color at the top. And again, that one was Pale Papaya. So then you can remove that. You see that beautiful mountain there. And then we'll do the same thing with the smaller one. Make sure that hasn't moved. And we'll line this one up just a little bit below it. So you can kind of use the base of the larger mountain range to line up the smaller one. I want to just see a little bit of the tip of that small mountain range between those peaks there. And then again, use Post-it notes to hold things in place. So for this color, I've used Calypso Coral. This one has a little bit more of an orange color to it. And I do want to add enough ink to this one to make a nice solid mountain range so that it really stands out against the Pale Papaya color. So I think there's enough there when you can't see the Pale Papaya through the mountain range anymore. Okay. Oh, looks like I've got a little smudge up there. Luckily, we do cover that up, that area. So you're going to get something that looks like that. So we're going to begin our next step by stamping some of the images that came in the kit along the background just to add some texture and more color to our card. So I have Pale Papaya and I'm using kind of this fun chevron pattern, and I'm just going to ink it up and add it around my image here, and I want to make sure that it's nice and straight. Maybe also add, sometimes the stamp will pick up a little bit of the color, so I just wanted to stamp off to make sure that I didn't get any blue tones in my next image. And then I'm going to do one down here as well in the corner. Okay, so 3 of that image in Pale Papaya. And then I wanted to add a little bit of green. So I also have the leaf image So it's a very similar image to this one. And I'm going to stamp that as well. I'm going to ink it up again. Just kind of have it come out this area, just like that. If you want to do more, you can. I just thought one was what I wanted. And then I'm going to also stamp my greeting, and I'm going to use the Thinking of You. This greeting also comes from the kit. You just want to make sure it's straight on the card as well. I think I might need to re-ink my old olive pad. Okay. So that is now ready for the die cut. So I'll put that off to the side. We'll do a little stamping on our mountain range. So for this one, I wanted to add a little bit of the blue Misty Moonlight, and so you can use your ink spot if you have that on hand. Make sure to clean your patterned chevron before inking it up in another color. So we're going to do a fun technique to this stamp because I wanted it to have a little bit of a distressed look. So what you're going to do is ink up in Misty Moonlight or any other color you want, and then grab a paper towel, and you're just randomly going to remove some of the ink in some areas. And then you can go ahead and stamp that. This first one I'm going to do down in the left hand corner. You can see how that gives you a variation of tones to that ink. And I really like that look, especially when you have a pattern stamp like this one, where you want maybe a little bit of interest in that stamp. This one I'm going to place just underneath the mountain range off to the right side. Then I'll add another one. I really want that to lighten up there. Over here on the left side, just a little hint peeking out by the mountains. And then my last one will be up in the top right corner where we're going to add a little bit of detail. So again, tap off. The nice thing is I get to cover up that smudge up there and stamp that on. Okay, there we go. So now that we have finished our background images, we can add our die cut and then add everything to our card. So I have already removed the yellow leaf die cut, and I have placed dimensionals along some of the larger openings. You do need to cut your dimensionals into different sizes so that they fit nicely. And I like to use the edges for this. So you can just take your pair of paper snips and trim a nice skinny piece, and then you can remove that carefully and add it to the larger openings on the leaves. And I did every other leaf has a dimensional, but you could do it on every single one if you like. And then that just kind of goes over the blue solid shape at the bottom. Make sure you can still see the greeting, and then it kind of comes up and wraps up around the top like that. So pretty, all those layers of color and texture. And then we're going to add this to our card with dimensionals. And these are the ones that came in the kit. And we'll just put that right in the center of our card base, which I'm using a thick, basic white. It's just a really beautiful, simple, modern, clean design. So we're going to add a couple of our other die cuts to the mountain range. So I've already removed the large and the small mountain range die cuts from the sheet, and I'm going to layer the small Evening Evergreen mountain range on top of the larger Misty Moonlight mountain range. And they're just going to sit right at the bottom together So I pushed it off to the left a little so that the peak of the evening evergreen is between the two peaks of the misty moonlight and that the bottom edge matches. And then this will also get popped up with dimensionals. And I'm going to cut some off of the edge just like before. These ones can be a little bit bigger since we have a little more space to work with. The size of my basic white cardstock is just about the same width as my mountain range. And so you can use your grid paper just to make sure that everything is lined up nicely. So I do want just a little bit of that calypso coral peeking through and some of that beautiful pale papaya, just like that. I have already stamped my greeting and on a 1/2 inch by 3 inch strip. And I'm going to use dimensionals to pop that up right underneath the mountain range. It can come off just a little bit on this side. Just like that. And then up here in the top right corner, I wanted to add another fun element. And so I pulled out the circle and I'm going to trim it in half. So just find the center point and use your pair of paper snips. Then you'll want to use the, I liked the left-hand side with the arches going kind of like a rainbow. Then take a little bit of liquid glue and add a couple small dots in some of those larger areas. And then that's just going to go up in the top right corner. And then I got a little tag piece from the zigzag die cut from the kit. And so to create that shape, you're just going to take a pair of paper snips and cut straight through one of the peaks so that you get this nice flag looking shape. And you'll just add that. I added it with some liquid adhesive as well. And I'm just placing it over the circle in the corner and making sure that the top lines up with the top edge of that card. Then we'll add this to our card base with dimensionals as well. And that just goes right in the center. Just like that. Then for my last card, I'm using some of the other pieces from the kit to create a nice, simple, modern looking card again. This time we're not using too much stamping or blending. So what I wanted to do was start with a piece of basic white cardstock that is 3 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And that's just a little bit larger than the Calypso Coral strip here. So I'm going to add this first. You can use double-sided adhesive or liquid glue. Just place that in the corner on the left side so that you have a nice border all the way around. And then you're going to take the piece that was embossed, this rectangle, and you're going to add some of the envelope pattern to the back. This is just going to give you a nice border. So there's a couple options. What I like to do is add this to my paper. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because this shape is just a little bit, it's not a nice even size. So I'm going to add it to my paper where I want it, and then I can trim it. So just using my paper trimmer, I'm going to kind of eyeball how much of a border I want all the way around it. So you'll get something like this. And then that can get added to our basic white piece right in the center. Then I have that other half of the circle, and we're going to do the same thing, add a little adhesive, and then tuck that underneath wherever you want. I'm just sliding it between the white and the pale papaya so that it looks like it's coming from that. And I want it to kind of be pushed in so that it doesn't match that edge. I want it to be inside just a little bit. So you can see there that it's not up against that calypso coral piece. Then we're going to take the grasses die cut, and you can pop this up with dimensionals if you want. I felt like it was a little bit delicate for me, and so I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive in some of the larger areas. And that goes in the center of your white embossed piece. So then I'm going to add my greeting, which I've already stamped on a 1/2 inch strip that is 2 1/4 inches. And again, just use up the edges of my dimensionals by trimming them down into the size I want to use. And then adding that over those elements, just like that. And then I am going to do the exact same thing I've done with the others and pop this up with dimensionals and add it to a card base of thick, basic white cardstock. Now, if you want to add a little more color to your cards, you're definitely welcome to pull out a coordinating color and add these pieces to a colorful card base. That would be really fun too. What I liked is the white just kind of helped pop out these colors and gave it kind of a simple and modern look to the cards. So these cards are almost done. The very last thing that I added was a little bit of bling. So from the kit, you received some iridescent rhinestones, and I'm just going to add 3 to each of the cards. One of the larger ones all by itself, and then 2 small ones. Let's put that one there. And then for the mountain range, we'll do a big one there, maybe a small one, and then another small one, just like that. Of course, you can add them wherever you want to. And there we go. Now our cards are all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create these fun alternative cards using the die cuts from the Paper Pumpkin kit in March 2022. If you're interested in getting written instructions or seeing close-up images on how I created these cards, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. If you'd like to get your own Paper Pumpkin kit, please use the link in the description box below to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.